Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's session of live Q&A. My name is Marcy Melzer, and I am an intuitive speech and language pathologist, and I help parents teach their late talking children how to use the words they need to share their wisdom with the world. And today I'm taking questions from parents. If you have a question about your child's speech and language development, or about language facilitation, or about the therapy that you've been getting or you're thinking about, or anything like that, now is the time to ask those questions. So you can go ahead and put them right in the comments, and I'll keep scrolling through on the live. I'll give it a few minutes to catch up. And I see that Ashley and Tiffany and Sudha are here, and Saran is here. Hi, thanks for joining me today on this live Q&A. I thought I'd start while I'm waiting for some questions to come in and share with you what's going on with one of my language facilitator moms right now. She's having a rough time, and if she's out there, I think she knows who she is. And the thing is, pretty much every family who gets in the program are seeing improvement with their kids when they're doing language facilitation really quickly in the form of new expressive communication. And this particular mom has a little guy, and he's just about right about 2 years old, and a late talker, and using a lot of, was using a lot of nonverbal things to communicate, gestures. He was really good, as a matter of fact, at communicating his nonverbal messages, and his parents are just desperate to see him talk. And they did receive an ASD diagnosis, and they're really concerned, that they have, I think, in the back of their mind this idea, wondering if their little guy is going to get talking. And the thing is, they've been doing language facilitation now for a couple of weeks, and while some of the families in the program have made rapid fire, super fast progress, those are the kids who come into the program with a good receptive language skill set. They know how to follow complex directions, and they are, initiating communication, not just for getting their basic needs met, but they're initiating communication for other means, to share experiences and talk about the things that they're doing. And they were doing that non-verbally previously, and they were so interested in expressive language already non-verbally, using words maybe that were the wrong words, or using iPads or things like that. And now they're using verbal language, and they're making amazing progress. Every family who has a child who already has a good receptive vocabulary in there, those families are seeing expressive language really fast. But this mom that I'm talking about now, she's a new mom, like I said, and her little guy's too, and had a period of time that he wasn't paying attention, not hearing and paying attention to words. He was using other things to comprehend language in his earliest stages, when he wasn't listening and paying attention to words as well as other kids do, for his own reasons. It's different reasons for different kids, and that's why most kids are late talking, is because they have had a period of time where they weren't able to absorb, process, ingest, gather, and what I like to call fill their memory banks. They haven't been able yet to fill their memory banks full of vocabulary that they can later use to teach. And so what happens so much with kids like this is they're used to, instead of having words in their vocabulary to use for expression, they have experiences that they used before. If they cried and they got something, then they'll cry again to get it. If they climbed on a cabinet, or they know where something is, they might just choose to get it themselves. And they develop these other ways of getting their communication message across. If it's something they really, really want, but they can't get themselves and they don't know, then they'll either bring that object to you, if they do know what it is and they need help with it, or, like they bring you the food and ask you to cook it, or bring you the bowl and ask them to fill it. You know, that's what's going on with many of these kids when they're young, because they don't even have much vocabulary. And the ones that do have learned it usually from videos or you know, things that they've watched over and over again, but they don't have any experience practicing with it yet, and they don't know because they're only 2 years old. Like, they don't have the mental capacity to know how to integrate, to use those words for talking yet. In fact, they're not even sure that making noises out of their mouth is how you communicate. They think, like this mom's little guy, you know, in his head, the way I get what I want, the way I communicate my ideas is by using my behaviors and my gestures, and that's what he knows. That's all he knows, because that's what's worked so far. And his parents have worked really hard to try to not anticipate his needs or understand his needs, but for a long time that was what was going on. And that's what happens naturally with parents. It's not anything that is bad. I mean, what it's doing is delaying language, but it's not out of necessity. I mean, you have to know what your kids want, so you have to find a way to get them to communicate with you. And that's why, you know, they get in these other habits. And so the first problem with moms like this is that her kid's young and he doesn't have much understanding or even know that words are what works. And that's how they started, okay? And they're a couple weeks now, like I said, into the program, and this mom is doing an amazing job language facilitating. I am absolutely positive of it. She has changed the way that she's talking, she's modeling appropriate language, and she's seeing the first parts of receptive language, real understanding for words emerging. Because remember, her little guy didn't even acknowledge that words were for communication. He understood what people did or showed or brought to him, and he did or showed or brought to other people. That's how they were communicating. And they're having to change that into just understanding that words are here and for a purpose, for communicating. And when I use words with you as a mom to a child, that these words really mean something. In fact, they mean exactly what's going on right now. And that's how kids learn. That's how they absorb the words in the moment, right words at the right time, and put those words into their memory bank. So later on, they're able to use them. Now, just because they're in their memory banks doesn't mean that they can use them perfectly the first time. So what's happening with this little guy is now he's starting to have some emergence of sounds. They're not really words, but it's kind of babbling. And it might even be inflection that kind of reflects you know, the kind of language. Because here's what's happening. This mom is doing a great job language facilitating, and she is looking for questions, by the way. I'm just keep talking, and I know that people are watching. But yes, so, you know, as you continue to do language facilitation with your child and you continue to model language for them, those receptive memory banks are filling up, not just with the vocabulary, but experientially. See, you're teaching your child to use those words while you are doing the things that you're doing every day. And so not only is your child learning what the words are and what the words are for and what the words mean when you say them, they're actually offered the opportunity with language facilitation to practice those words on their own without a prompt. And that's kind of the process of it. But what's going on with this mom is she's not really seeing progress as fast, like I said, as the other moms. And so what's happened to her is she's gotten a little frustrated and she's gotten a little disgruntled about it. And so she's, you know, her mindset has changed a little. Like, you know, at first she's seeing this new interaction and all of that, and I keep reminding her that that is important progress on the way to verbal language, but her little guy's not saying words yet, where some of the other kids in the program are actually saying words. And we keep reminding about, you know, and this is something as you're facilitating language with your young children who don't have much receptive language. If they're not responding to your name very well, if they don't follow directions consistently, like they do sometimes, but you still have to really show them things, like it takes them a lot, like they have to practice at things to learn it, then that's when you know that they are learning things, but you have to go at their pace and work with them on their own trail with the skills that they have. So, and actually, I just want to remind this mom that it really is important to keep the positive and understand that the positive improvements, the receptive language improvements are really important. And those things that you're seeing as far as the babbling and the inflection are the emergence of what is going to be words. So as you keep going and as you keep evolving in your language facilitation journey, all of you who are trying this, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have times when your kids are listening and absorbing and processing more language, and then you're going to have other times when they're practicing more and they're trying it more. And that only happens, that practicing and trying only happens when that receptive language is already built and you develop your confidence first in order to be able to start it. Now, like I said, it happens with different kids at different stages. And what's really important, like I said, the biggest mistake here is that, yeah, you have to have lots of patience and it has to be fun, because it will come. That's what Brianna says. It will come. You just have to make sure that you continue to have the mindset of having fun with it, because the more your desperation, or how come he's not talking yet, or I've been trying this for a couple weeks now, and yeah, we see some really nice new engagement or whatever, but there's no words yet. And that feeling of it can really hold you back. And that's why it's an important thing I wanted to bring up on this video for everybody to see today. It kind of does most definitely come back to that mindset where it's really important that you as a parent have faith in your child, and every bit of progress that they show, every bit of that, you're able to engage and envelop and give them encouragement to keep moving forward on their progress and not try to jump too far ahead, because like I tell a lot of parents, language facilitation is a lot like teaching a kid to ride a bike. You can't just put the child on the bike and shove them up the street, because what if they fall off the bike, or what if it doesn't work the first time? Then they're going to have a bad experience with it, and then they're not going to want to try again. And that's how it goes with prompting and language facilitation. Prompting is like taking the child on the bike and shoving them up the street, but language facilitation is like looking at the bike. What color is the bike? Playing with the pedals on the bike, and actually watching other children riding bikes and seeing them have fun with it. And then trying while the parent's holding on and right there close by, so the child feels 100% confident with riding a bike. And that's how it goes with language facilitation too. I should do a whole video on that, but that's really what it is. It's all about you helping your child from the ground up, just like they are from the very beginning, and showing them how language works, the right words at the right time. So, and I see that Arch is here. Thanks, Arch. And Haley and Libby and Shaukian joined on. Thanks so much and for saying hi today on this language facilitation Q&A. I don't have any more questions on here. So I'm trying to think about another question that I've had recently from families. I just had the opportunity to talk to a mom on a strategy session who I'm really hoping is going to join us in our language facilitation community. Her little girl is nearly 13 years old, and she has been homeschooled for most of her time, but we were talking about how she got stuck. She got stuck at not being able to imitate single words very well at a certain point, and so they switched her over to using an alternative communication system, an iPad system, and she's got all the levels of vocabulary. Like if she wants food. She knows to go to the kitchen, and then she can even in the kitchen go to the different categories. She's got all this access to this vocabulary, and that's how she's communicating, but she's not using any of it at home, at nearly 13 years old, and still in her home where she is homeschooled, and she, has her community. They have a really strong community around them. It's a small town in West Virginia where they all live, together. It's a family business. It's really cool, this nice little community they have, and they travel, and but they don't have any natural language, and their daughter is starting to use some babbling and sounds and words and stuff, but she's not inclined to use her iPad with her family. So I'm really looking forward to getting them started in the program and teaching them how to start over from the ground up with language facilitation. All right, so there's Brianna, one of my longtime friends, for a few months here, as long as I've been talking about language facilitation here on Facebook. Brianna's been hanging out, so thanks again for joining me, Brianna. Brianna says my son had very few words, and Brianna's not in the program, by the way. Brianna managed to be a great language facilitator with her boy just by watching these live videos that I'm doing. So hopefully they're able to help you too. And so Brianna said he had very few words and some very rough days. Days I would cry at the end of the day, and days of triumph. Oh, bless your heart. A lot of back and forth, putting him in the driver's seat and going with his flow and finding things that made it fun for him made all the difference. Absolutely. And if he doesn't stop, now he doesn't stop talking, she says. Thank you so much. And especially in the car, which is an amazing place to do language facilitation. If you give up your iPad, you can really get a lot of words from your kids in the car. And he tells me about the houses and cars and trucks we see as we pass. That's amazing. And Shaukian says, we can help Gaius build confidence, but what if he goes to school and plays with other kids and loses his confidence? I hope that doesn't happen. So that's a very interesting question, Shaukian, about what happens with kids as they move forward in their language facilitation journey. They've been using their nonverbal communication methods with their parents, and their parents have been doing all the interpreting. And during the language facilitation, the first stages of that, it is you as parents who are really engaging with your kids, getting them to understand you, making sure that you understand all of their messages. And so kids' comfort level certainly develops first in your immediate family. And then after that, it moves forward in ways that are easily structured by you. So, in school and places where there are teachers often naturally do language facilitation. And the thing is, now that you have moved your child past his reluctance to using words, anyone else who does natural facilitation with encouragement to use words in a regular situation will help. And when your child's playing one-on-one with strangers or new people, one of my language facilitator moms said about 70% of people will respond to your child if your child tries to communicate with them. Some people, even if it's not accurate, but some people, about 30% of people will not understand your child or think it's weird or whatever, and it's not going to work for them. But what's great about this is once your kids do start to use words, even single words and little phrases that actually mean what they're doing instead of the gestures and nonverbal ways that they're communicating now, you can, once they start to do that with anyone, that person then can engage with them. And like I said, about 70% of people that your children will run into in the community will know how to engage with them if they're using words that can be easily understood by other people. So, and the job of a language facilitator parent is to do that for your child, is to teach them the systems and the words and the articulation to say the words carefully, to do that, to convey all of their messages, even in the simplest way. Because once you have success at communicating your messages, even in the simplest way, other people will engage with your child and help them do it on their own naturally. The trick about it all, and the reason that Brianna figured it out on her own, was because she was able to overcome her son's resistance to using words. And that's what Xiaoqian did too. She was able to understand what was holding up, like what her son didn't like about the prompting and questions and quiz show stuff she was doing to try to pull language from him. And when we replaced those strategies with her new language facilitation strategies, and she made it more fun and started to have fun with language, then her son's confidence improved with her. And when, you know, like I said, other people, as soon as they see, you know, success is the most fun thing there is. There's nothing more fun than being successful at something. You finish a puzzle, woohoo! You lose 5 pounds, woohoo! You know, once you're successful, that is super fun. And when kids learn that language and using words is successful in communicating their messages, they get what they want, they share experiences, and they enjoy it, then their confidence improves. So that's how it evolves from you, the one alpha parent. You know, usually even if there's 2 parents, kids are usually attached to the mom or the dad, the one who they spend the most time with. And it usually starts there, and that person helps them develop their communication confidence, and then it broadens and broadens and broadens and moves out to other people. So yeah, so hi, and Benjamin, say hi. Hello, Guimieras. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate all of you for joining me today on this Q&A. I didn't have many questions from people right here, but you know, sometimes answering questions from other parents has really helped people in my program, and so that's why I'm helping it out here. And my next video will be on a specific topic. But you know, if you have any questions, you certainly can send me a private message, or you know, put a comment here on this video if you're watching the replay, and we can even talk about it too. All right, and Xiaoqian says, guys, yesterday told us take off shoe, go in when he tried to play in his trampoline, when he probably went into the enclosure of it. When he was playing, he kept telling us jump and run. In a month now, he is using phrases all the time, and that's amazing. And she says it's amazing too. I am just a little worried since school starts soon, but I'm confident at the same time. And so, you know, that's what happens with parents, any parent in any journey, that, you know, they have that confidence that goes up and down. Sometimes your kids make progress, and sometimes they absorb information, and sometimes they express more, and sometimes they absorb things. It happens often that kids develop 10 or 15 new words in the first week, but those are the core words for the things that they need to communicate most. So what they do then is they get really good at those words. And sometimes parents are like, but I don't see all this new stuff, like the honeymoon's not over. And when you are on a language facilitation journey, you have to understand that it is a lifelong journey. I'm 52 years old and I'm still learning about language. I mean, this is how it goes. And what's awesome about the Waves of Communication community is that all the parents are supporting each other, and that's why I do these live Q&As, and that's why I bring information here on my Facebook page for parents, is because it's important that you have access to this information, because you are the ones who have to do the work. In order to teach your child how to use the right words at the right time, it has to be you doing it, because you're the ones who are doing those activities with your child. And that's how language facilitation works, and that's how it's been so successful for families who have tried things like therapy. In fact, even as a therapist, it's more effective for me to coach parents in how to use these strategies with their kids all the times that they usually communicate with them, and that's how they see improvements. So thank you so much. Gamira says I'm the best. I appreciate that. I hope all these tips help you all. Since there aren't any more videos on or any more notes on here now, I'm going to go ahead and jump off. Keep this video short for today. I know sometimes parents like short ones. So I'll outline the tips in here and put this video up so you'll be able to see the replay. If you liked it, share it with your friends. If you think that there's anybody out there who you know who is frustrated on a language facilitation journey and they need a little encouragement to know how it goes with the ups and downs and how it goes with that passive learning and then active talking and then passive learning and then active talking, you know, if you know any other parents who could use that, go ahead and share this video with them. And also, for those of you who haven't seen any of my videos yet, I have some new friends joining my Facebook page all the time. And if this is the first video that you've seen, I just want to let you know that I have 50 more plus videos on my YouTube channel, and I'll put the link to that in this video description as well after I get the replay uploaded, so you know where to look for all kinds of videos that I have. I've had other parents watch every one of them. You can see different kinds of language facilitation tips for just about every kind of way that you can do that. So go ahead and check out those videos as well, and I hope you all have an amazing weekend helping your kids learn to use the words they need to share their wisdom with the world. And I'll catch y'all next time for my next Facebook Live. Have a great day, y'all.